Pillars of Eternity. So what were we doing? Went to the Sanitarium? Exploring the city still?
Yes.
Werner. Oh yeah, so we just read that. The most unfortunate tale of Fabian Bernat, a Valiant tragedy. Scene: Leia watches Bernat approach Fabia's tree, looking for her human form. Leia: Behold, now comes the fun, that for which I have waited. His love is forfeit, her life is forfeit, and all I have worked toward shall be fulfilled. He says he knows his love. He says no force in the world could keep him from her. But what chance has force against guile? Never will he find his love, for she is no longer his love. The spell cannot be undone except by her death, and by then it will be too late. But wait, he has seen her. Leia steps back to observe. Fabia: Pray, mortal, why have you come here? These woods are not for your kind. The affairs of men have no place at this tree. Leave it ere your welcome lapses. Bernat: Foul creature, where is my love? What have you done with her? Always this has been the station for our encounters. Never before have I seen you. Where is my love? Answer ere my patience lapses. Fabia: Fool, this is my land and this is my tree. Your presence never before has been felt. Again I say to you, leave. My generosity will not be extended a third time. Leia steps forward again. Leia: Talk, discussion. I know the way to hurry the conclusion of this tale. Leia takes a breath and extends her throat as if she's yelling. A scream comes from the corpse of trees where the Pigris stands. Bernat: My love! Bernat steps forward, brandishing his sword. Prepare yourself, wretch, for not even death can stand between me and my love. I will have her from you, or you will meet your end. Bernat moves toward Fabia, who closes to fight, and they fight. During the fight, Bernat is grievously injured as he delivers the killing blow to Fabia. She falls to the ground, and as she dies, the spell on her breaks, transforming her back into her Delemgan form. Fabia: Bernat, my love, what have you done to me? What was it I said? What was it I did? Has our love soured in your heart? Bernat: Fabia, my love, my life, what foul sorcery has befallen you? How have you come to be laid low by my hand? Fie to the gods for such treachery. Fie to all who stood in our way. Fabia: Fear not, my beloved, for now we are together, and together we will always be. Nothing can keep us apart. But lo, why is it suddenly so dark? Where has the sun gone? Where are you? I cannot see you. I will find you. I will. Fabia dies. Bernat: A curse upon the fiend who has betrayed me, to hold love in your hand and have it wrenched away. Bernat winces and puts his hand in his shirt. It comes out covered in blood. What luck, what chance! Tragedy may yet turn to fortune. Fabia, my love, soon I will rest in your arms. We will lie together again as one, and forever shall we be side by side. I go now to meet my love. Barath, I accept your cold embrace. I welcome your company. I beg your mercy. Bernat lies down next to Fabia's body. I am ready. And Bernat dies. Leia steps out from her hiding spot and runs to Bernat's body. Bernat, you fool, you wretch, how can you leave me? I am alone. I am forgotten. I am cast out. Without your love, how could I continue? Life holds no thrall without your visage upon which I may gaze. What should I do? But here, my salvation, my answer. Leia picks up Bernat's sword. Jesus Christ. Leia: His blade, his weapon. I shall be impaled upon him, and he shall cut through me. I will not be denied, my love. I will not be denied, my love. You will be mine, if not in this life, then in the next. Leia impales herself on the sword. I have come for you, my love, my Bernat. wait for me and I will find you. We shall love forever. And Leia dies. Okay. Next book. That's Attack Poetry, a compilation. Or where this from? What's this? Head Warden of Ethelmoor. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down and blinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveller. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? I'm curious as to how you've come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, he laughs. I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are to ever unearth the principles beyond our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple, as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to talk an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animancers will humour me, consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you're considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Tell me more about the sanitarium. A history lesson? That is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favoured souls came to populate its streets in droves. Thus the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are, and since then we have been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, and preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from the Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, they see it involves something they don't understand, so it's natural for them to suspect whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at the hearing before the Duke, absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in the Deerwood. I fear Ava may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. I'm looking for an animancer named Modred. Modred, of course. You will find him downstairs in the first room on the right. This man's soul was torn asunder by a Bewick. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. The Animancer places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. A portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We use this stone as a vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended dissociation has permanent side effects. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bonds. With further research, we're confident that we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. Ordmer. Some Animancer. Trying to sell animancy to some nobles. Require your funding.
Good day, stranger.
A bold man with a crooked nose gestures in demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Have you come to sit in? What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glanfathen Wilds, we get a number of Beerwick maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. And this fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I'm early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects.
Greetings.
I'd like to know more about the Sanitarium. He gives an eager nod. It's the mission that attracted me here, the treatment of the disturbed. No one else seems to care about them. Here, they've worked wonders for them. I've seen people cured of insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen the crippled walk and the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. The thought that the Duke could put an end to it with a single order, it keeps me up nights.
Good day, stranger.
They say the worst of the patients are kept below, locked up. Everlasting life? Imagine the possibilities. I heard that someone who was treated here came out twice as smart. Wonder what all this equipment actually does. The head of the Sanitarium is a statue, quite remarkable.
I'm here.
The reddest one. Yeah. This table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustment for the Well-Adjusted Soul. Here, mid. You see dark room with with garish furnishings, a large bed covered with pillows, several couches and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He's dressed in dark clothes with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, its hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. Two other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All three are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles. A man staggers in, dragging a young woman with him. The two standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting his head and shrugging only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand, while pushing the door closed with the other. Then that hand is over the girl's mouth before she is even aware she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place on his belt and draws it across her neck. He holds her still, waits for the struggles to stop. Well, the other standing man has already subdued their target, now tied to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in his mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed. The man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stared down at the man screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard over the raucous noise of the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light, and the man stops struggling, and a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The two captives ask various questions that the bound man answers happily. And after they finish, the two look to the man sitting against the wall. He is not moved as the events transpired before him, but only sat, silently observing everything as it happened. He stands, holding the cloak closed around himself, and nods to the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to finish their task.
I'm here.
This man sitting in the chair. Ooh.
Of course.
Man, who are you? Harm to Whitaker? Oh god. Ye exiles, ye broken, fear not the vengeance of the burned queen. She watches from her throne, ever vigilant. She hears the oath thou dost speak at her altar. She hears the oath thou dost speak in thine home. And she hears the oath thou dost speak in the dark. For ye who would keep thy word, thou shalt escape the justice of her gaze. Beware, ye liars, ye unfaithful. Beware, ye with a hardened heart. Beware, for the eye of Whitaker will not be blinded. She hears the sundered oath. She is not fooled by the winding path. She attends the broken promise. She sees the deceiver. There is no shadow too dark. Her gaze will find thee. Her justice will not be restrained. The fires of justice will never be quenched. The throne will crack. The law will burn. But the queen that was always will be. Speak not an untruth, or thy tongue will be bound. Remember thy place. Remember thine oath. Remember thy queen. The queen that was, the burned queen, Whitaker. Those cultists worship. The Midlife's Memoirs. My mother lived every note of life's song. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this my father scorned me and abandoned me, and for this very same fact my town's midwife and adherent of Hylia raised me as her own. When I came of age, I learned that Hylia visits us on the screams of women in childbirth, and when a woman dies giving life to her child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Hylia's court. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. Hylia, the Queen of Birds. I wear the fetish charms of the cloud singer, the bird I dreamt my mother became, my feathery trinkets looking gaudy and unbecoming, but it is a signal fire to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Hylia and living every note of life's song. She wears charms as well, like she does. All midwives wear them then, not just her. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not as the other gods so often desire to end it. A follower of Magrin once mocked my faith, saying I worshipped paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods, and the brutal necessities that they must oversee, but it is not language, love, the arts, and creativity that which separates us from the simple beasts. Hylia allows us to rise above our savage, feral selves. I am often amused that, upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where is the real temple of Hylia?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize the Bird Queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in the beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Hylia prefers the worship of two children singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song, and it surprises me how many fail to embrace its divine calling. Do all midwives wear these charms?
Well,
You keep clicking on her, does she?
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed. Ready, Watcher. You need an Arctic fox of your own.
They say so, you keep clicking on them.
You don't want what I have, Watcher. Some flames spread easier than others. You don't want what I have, Watcher. Some flames spread easier than others.
This is why you were traveling alone.
Yes.
That's amazing. Oh, little things like that are just so amazing. Bugging him. Ada, 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 Ada. This is why you're traveling alone, Watcher. Animancy in the modern age. Wait, have we read this one? Yeah, we read this one. Your soul may be trying to tell you. These look like field sketches of Angwithan ruins and artifacts. ADA Customs, I think we read this one. Yeah. This painting of a rolling forest glen has a strangely soothing effect. They're gonna be like locked up crazy people when they're doing like, you know, torturing them or something. Weird I bet. Hello? But that's Sage. A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Ikosi? Here I am, looking so hard for answers in the research that I do not see the kid standing in front of me. What can I do? Ikosi? Swear word. What do you do here? According to my research grant, I study awakenings. Sublimating pre-awakened souls has been one of Animancy's greatest successes, and I'm working on a method to replicate the process on awakened souls. She gnaws at her lip. But the truth is, I find few suitable subjects here. Widewind's legacy has left plenty of awakened souls, but most are too broken for study. She sighs. I fear I will turn to Revua with nothing to show for my efforts. I'm awakened. I've been recalling flashes of my past life. She scratches her chin. Most interesting, but not the kind of awakening I can study, I'm afraid. I need someone whose awakened soul can be triggered with predictable stimuli. Souls such as these tend to manifest as alternate personas in the host. She gives you a broad, if strained smile. But I thank you for the offer. Something else you need? I'm trying to find someone with multiple personality disorder who's also awakened. Good luck. It's not insane. Totally insane. I'd like to know more about Animancy in the Valian Republics. It is a dynamic and respected field. Even the Bale Reach incident did little to slow it, she shrugs. People in the Republics are more accepting of risk, less superstitious, ready to try anything that shows promise. It's a shame that so many here are so hostile toward Animancy. It is, but such is the way of the Deerwood. The people here are fierce about their sovereignty. They are not so independent from their Ideran brothers and their Glanfathan neighbours as they would like to think. They rely too much on the mysterious workings of the gods and fear the very advances they need. Medicine. Modred, here we go. In the corner of Modred's lab rests a large weathered trunk. Seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Examine the trunk more closely. The lack of dust on the trunk's surface and the long scratches on the tile flooring suggest that the trunk is frequently used and moved throughout the laboratory, despite its considerable size. Deep yet narrow gouges score the wood at the edges of the trunk. They look like claw marks. What in the fuck? Claws on the chest, and his chest is moving around a lot. Put something inside it, or is it a mimic?
Hey,
And white that wins. Oh wait, so I think I read this one wrong. I don't think I have. How long have I been wandering? I can no longer tell. The day is in endless white, the cold breath of the wilderness biting at my neck. All I feel is the insistent hand of the wind pushing me forward. Where is it taking me? Where did it start? On the boat? Was there a boat? I remember one. Storm and disaster. If I dwell on it long enough, my mind rebels. So I walk, and she appears to me. How many times has it been? Once? Have I seen her before, or is this the first time? Did she ever leave? All my mind can do is ask questions, and each question leads to another question. The answers frighten me, and so I walk. She stands with her head cast down. Long white hair hangs in front of her face, obscuring it from my view. She holds out her hand, pale, thin, palm up. She wants my help. She wants my soul. Something screams, inhuman and primal. It overtakes me from behind, wrapping me in a terrifying blanket of sound. My skin contracts as chill courses through me. I turn to face my pursuer and see only a vast white emptiness. She's gone, like every time before. Was this the first time? Has she gone before? My stomach answers with a growl. Hunger. The beast consumes me from the inside, and there's no stopping it. I must eat. I see water. Am I seeing it now, or is this a memory? Confusion slips its fingers inside my head and murmurs softly. I cannot quite hear it. I strain to no avail. The water remains. It must be here. I drop to my knees and hear the whisper-like crack of the ice beneath my knees. I'm sitting in the lee of an ice mountain. The protection it provides does little to prevent the wind from driving the pins of snow into my flesh. I'm shaking. Where is my left hand? I move it. Nothing. I look down and see it moving. It is wet and caked with ice. My head falls back against the ice, and I press the edges of my memory. My brain whispers back with a soft cracking sound and a scream. Wood on wood, tearing, cracking. I close my eyes against the onslaught. She appears before me again. Again? Time fragments and blows around me like the snow that obscures my vision. I'm walking. My hand is on fire. I feel the needles piercing my fingers as she reaches hers out to me. She raises her head, black eyes staring blankly. Her mouth opens and closes, but if she speaks, I cannot hear it. The scream again, closer this time. If I still had emotion, I would be quaking. I turn as I have so many times before to see what monster has found me, and she is there behind me. She puts her hand on my chest. The cold burns me through my clothes. She leans in, her mouth presses against my ear. We are waiting. I open my eyes. I lie on the ground. I see torn fabrics, rocks, a broken wooden box, an unsuccessful campfire. Where did it come from? Did I make it? How did I get here? I roll onto my back, unable to stand. Exhaustion sits on my chest and holds me down. She stands above me. I see frozen tears on her cheeks. She does not move. She does not threaten me. But I know this is the end. Her mouth opens. The inhuman scream that erupts from within her digs through the blackness that shrouds my mind, and I see her. The wood that tore beneath her feet. The water that swallowed her. She fades, replaced by the face of the devil that has followed me. Was it always there? In my madness, did I view it in a different form? Is anything in my mind true? Time bleeds. My vision shimmers, distorting the face that approaches. Its dark eyes watch closely as it walks forward. Its fur is matted and stained. Its fangs glisten in the fading light. Its enormous hands, tipped with jagged blades, rise above my head. I close my eyes. I am coming. Okay. The white that wends. Location, like snowy plains? Something, I'm not sure where it is exactly. The lee of the mountain. What does the lee mean? Oh, stealing. Whoops. Didn't steal. Quick save. 1955. What does lee of a mountain mean? Valley, I don't know. Side sheltered from the wind.
Of course.
Yeah. Just look around the other rooms before I talk to Modred. Unexpected results. The canine host was listless and unresponsive, but it was determined that this was simply the implanted feline soul. Yarn resulted in vigorous stimulation. Yarn. Canine host and feline implant. Cat soul in a dog. Dog's body. Experiments. Cages with claw marks. What's going on around here? Not allowed, not allowed. Right then.
Yes?
Who is this lady again? Why are we here again? I've forgotten. Just hang around reading all the books for like hours. An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in a silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Good day to you.
Can I help you? He forces a polite smile. What are you working on? My area of focus is wicts, more specifically how to cure them. What's a wict? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Put animal souls in human bodies. Become wicks. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at a fixed point on the far wall. And despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. How long has this been going on? Like 100 years? Wouldn't the population be dying out by now, though? Like, not every child was hollowborn, though. It's like some. And it's like spreading more and more now. The race is gonna die out. All the kids are gonna die out on this rate. Takes a slow breath. The complications don't begin until puberty. That's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animancers and burned their homes, with them still inside, often as not. The grieving mother recoils. Grotesque manipulation, a desperate solution for a desperate problem, and the parents were heartbroken, betrayed. She closes her eyes and seems to recede from you for a moment. But it was important to try something, was it not? To bring hope, even for a little while. She falls silent. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it, but we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study Wicks? He huffs. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face is reddened, and he turns away from you for a moment. He shakes his head. Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. The grieving mother reaches out, as if to put her hand on Mildred's cheek. Such pain, Watcher, and such determination. Good. He looks eager to return to his work. Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Mildred starts. Helig? He is, a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the Sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He clears his throat. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valian Republics. He leans forward. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you have heard. He coughs again. Perhaps you haven't. I've heard it differently. He slides his spectacles down his nose. So what are you insinuating? See, if this is your idea of a joke, I assure you it's in very poor taste. So you didn't sink a blade into his chest and dump him in the catacombs? He'll be relieved to hear that. Mildred pales. How could... He sighs and runs a hand over his hair. Very well, yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls, and for what? He flayed the essence from Glanfathan indignance for his amusement. He waves down the hall. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He jabs his finger on the desk. He used the Sanitarium to disguise his own sick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. He calms down and sizes you up. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Helig's soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic, and he wants revenge. No doubt. He spreads his hands wide. But now you understand why I killed him. Why someone had to. If he sent you, I only hope I can convince you to return and slay him once and for all. Helig said you stole a grimoire from him. He has something I need. You consider a deal with that monster? He puts his head in his hands. Oh, he puts his head in his hands. If what I've told you hasn't swayed you, I doubt anything will. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Mildred turns back to his papers. Oh, come on.
Oh,
Oh, Helig. Yes, what about him? Helig said you stole a grimoire from him. Mildred's brow furrows. His grimoire? What's that madman been telling you? Give him the key. He said you kept it in that trunk over there. Mildred takes the key with a trembling hand, his eyes darting to the trunk behind you. You've been misled. There's no grimoire here, and Helig never intended you to find one. That wretched thing has an insatiable hunger for blood, he shudders. Thank you for denying him. I hope I can convince you now to return and slay him once and for all. I'll consider it. Consider also the kind of man he is, the kinds of things he's capable of. Don't trust him. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Save. Examine the trunk. Open the trunk. A heavy lock holds the trunk shut. It's too sturdy to break, and the mechanism looks too complicated to pick. You'll need to find the key. I just give him the key. Did I just save over that? Get back to time. Before I gave him the key.
I'm here.
How many autosaves can we have? Can we increase it so that doesn't happen again? How many quick saves?
Good day to you.
Take the key you acquired from Helig and place it in the lock. It fits perfectly and turns with a solid clunk. The trunk holds no grimoires or treasures. Instead you find yourself staring into the feral gaze and toothy maw of a twisted, monstrous creature. Its humanoid form has been overwhelmed by bony angles and terrible claws. With a start, you recognize the vague shape of a young girl beneath the elongated, malformed bones and greyish skin. It growls and leaps from the trunk, not toward you, but toward Modred. Modred has no time to scream before his throat is torn out. And why does he have that here?
Hail and well met.
You know a woman named Rona? Just looking around.
Hail and well met.
About Helig. Who should I follow here? I'm not sure. More water. The guy in the catacomb seems evil though. Yeah. Necromancer. This guy, at least, he's sort of like, let's go with this guy. Helig wants revenge. That's something I need.
Good day, stranger.
Helix said you stole a grimoire from him. I didn't read the games, Modred. Hand it over. Modred spreads his hands. I'm not a wizard, and I want nothing to do with his detestable research. What use would I have for it? If I knew Helig, this is his idea of a joke, probably not one you or I would appreciate. If anything I've told you about him has sunk in, I beg you, return to the catacombs and slay him once and for all. That foul man will cause misery and pain as long as he's around. I'll consider it.
Indeed.
Yeah, let's go kill him. I think. Modred's laboratory. Retrieve Helig's research. Yeah, I think we're gonna kill him. It's like an evil necromancer, man. And this guy's... No, I don't think he's playing. Could be.
Don't bother the cat, Ichimok. You'd have better odds against a Stelgar.
Yeah, let's kill him.
Hey.
Modred told me about your experiments. I can't let your research continue. Helig lets out a bubbling hiss of frustration. You sound just like him. No ambition, stuck on his pet project and his self-righteous sense of ethics. If it weren't left to people like Modred, animancy would be little more than sorting in within pottery. We'd be stuck in time as those hut dwellers. He gestures at the table in front of him. Everyone wants immortality, but nobody wants to know what it costs. A tremor passes through him. He clutches at his stomach. Costs indeed. There's a purpose yet that you can serve. I don't think so. Not while I'm the hero. Oh, instantly killed, knocked down and then killed. Didn't get a chance.
Yes?
Find scepter. Soulwood amulet. +5 will. This brilliant bloodstone amulet has a strange aura about it. As you hold the gem, you think you hear a woman's voice. Is that not his girlfriend's voice, what? Ooh. Concelhord's draining touch spell. Hold on now. Oh yeah, a soul prowls within the bloodstone like a caged Stelgar. It's filled with a fierce, restless energy. Who are you? You see an image in your mind of a woman in heavy leather armor bearing twin daggers. Next to her is a man, young and handsome, who calls her Ronya. The vision shifts to a windswept plain next to a lake. 50 men and women in marching leathers lay dead, their bodies contorted and deformed by some sinister sorcery. And Rona falls among them, her body collapsing next to the young man you saw earlier. She's too weak to speak, but the name Dalton appears in your mind. A lone figure strides across the battlefield, barely bothering to step over the corpses. His eyes are filled with an unnatural light and fixed on Rona. He reaches out to her, and what little life remained in her body departs. When he takes the amulet from around her neck, you feel her anguished soul trapped within. The final contemplating glance at the fallen Dalton, the man departs. Dalton sent me to find you. The soul pulses with warmth. It fills your mind with memories of a young man who's both bold and generous, but fury and despair gnaw those images away, till all you can feel are cold, crimson walls pressing against you and something loathsome feeding off of you as the years fade into decades. What do you want? See an image of the amulet shattering and the soul inside rising and dissipating among the stars.
I'm here.
Amulet back to that man. Dalton. It's so slow. Back to Dalton.
Hello.
It's not the voice of an old man. Did you find her? Show him the amulet. Yes, but not as you expected. The old man studies the amulet. Rona used to wear this. Where did you get it? The grieving mother. Even now he feels the soul of his beloved, recognizes the spirit that haunts his memories, his dreams. He would happily drown in them, yet what kind of fate is it for his beloved, trapped between lies for his comfort? Give him the amulet. This is from your old adversary, Helig. He trapped her soul inside it. Dalton cradles the amulet in both hands, gazing into it with wonder and bewilderment. She's here, back with me at last. He holds it to his cheek as if hoping to hear her voice or feel her caress. Perhaps her presence, even like this, will bring me peace. This isn't what you want to hear, Dalton, but releasing her soul back into the cycle would be best for both of you. Destroy it? He clutches to the amulet. But to have her back after so long, I couldn't bear to lose her again. Having her near me again would be enough. Intellect. Enough for you, but what about her? If you'd keep her trapped in this amulet for the sake of your own comfort, you're no better than the wizard who imprisoned her. Dalton's expression withers. You're right. Please, let me do it. He draws a club with a trembling hand and crushes the amulet. As the gem cracks, you feel the essence rush from it. The old man looks at the shattered gemstone. Thank you for showing me reason. Perhaps she'll wait for me in the next life. He looks at his hand shaking. By the flame, she won't have to wait long. Please, take this. He hands you the club. It's from my old adventuring days. I think it's time I finally let them go. A club. Dial Ewin Dibita. And within names, I mean vengeance, just and merciless. One-handed club. Increased damage against stunned enemies, flanked enemies, knocked down enemies. This was once owned by the Glanfathan barbarian Bardwin Caldra. This club has ended the life of many an opponent, and Bardwin was known to rush headlong into every battle, swinging the club over his head. Even in victory, Bardwin was relentless, using the club to dispatch wounded or captive foes where they lay. And in time, his battle cry came to be associated with the weapon itself, remembered long after Bardwin's death. He gained 1878 XP. That's shared. Go to the Hall of Revealed Mysteries in Copper Lane. Find out more about the theorems of Pangram. That lady. I'll read all these books. Read books in the library. Copper Lane. Grimda glances down on his spectacles. Ever inquisitive, I see. Grimda, an animator named Nedin asked me to retrieve the theorems of Pangrim from the Elder Archives. Grimda's impressive frown deepens. Thank you for letting me know. I'll be sure to tuck that tome away from prying eyes, and see that this Naden never sets foot in here again. In the meantime, here, a token of our appreciation. What?
Yes. I'll see it done. It's finished.
Should we have done that? I want to get in there though.
I shall.
Not that entry. This lady here is just.
Hmm?
Hey. What is it? I'll see it done.
Not bothered.
There's something ahead.
Okay. A heavy old book that carries the dust of centuries. The pages are as fine and thin as onion skin and covered with obscure diagrams and notes on animancy. They're not bothered.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Queen that was and still is. That one. Animancy in the modern age. With that one. Life and discoveries of Pangram. Mention the name of Pangram to anyone with even a passing knowledge of animancy, and you could find yourself in for a very long discussion. The theorems of Pangram. We've just retrieved a book called The Theorems of Pangram. So I think we read this one. Helig and Pangram. Yes, I think we read this one, I'm not sure. Pangram was very knowledgeable of animancy, researcher. Was a hero and genius. Him and his brother Helig study, travel, visit within ruins. He would frequently travel to the Glanfath and the Deerwood to visit the within ruins. Said that Pangram was fascinated, some might say obsessed. I wonder if this guy, the main villain, is like Pangram or Helig or something. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Pangram was fascinated, some might say obsessed, with the concept of animancy. It consumed his life as he dedicated everything to understand it. He would frequently travel to Glanfath and the Deerwood to visit the within ruins, and there he would take notes and make sketches, bringing back anything back with him that he could help him to unlock the mysteries. And after years of study, Pangram had reached a point where he could no longer conduct research on his own. He took on an assistant, Helig of Thane. Oh, it's just his assistant. I thought it was his brother. Soon, Helig was making trips to Glanfath in Pangram's stead, gathering knowledge while Pangram stayed behind to experiment. And this partnership quickly bore fruit, and Pangram made a breakthrough, one that would irrevocably change his life and the general attitude about animancy forever. The king is obsessed. The Deeran king is obsessed with getting these Engwithin artifacts from these ruins. Yeah. I wonder if Pangram's involved with the king, the Deeran king as well. Some sort of relationship with him. Partnership. While the specifics of his experimentation will never truly be known, the rumours and stories that still circulate tell that he had sent out inquiries, asking for live subjects to help with a dangerous experiment that might change their life, or might end it. And those who were already dying were especially encouraged to apply. Response was overwhelming, and Pangram had his pick of numerous willing bodies. That is when he had his breakthrough. He discovered a way to fix a soul, anchoring it to its body so it couldn't leave at death. He had discovered eternal life. His research and life's work had resulted in the greatest single discovery that animancy could hope for. His findings were published and quickly spread through Valia and beyond, while some groups, the Wardens Church for example, decried his work as nothing more than blasphemy and heresy. Wardens Church? Really? Wardens Church? Wardens is a... He worships, doesn't he? This cult? Many put it to practice though, and everyone wanted the chance at immortality. But everything comes with a cost. It quickly became apparent that simply restraining the soul while keeping the person technically alive was doing nothing for the body, which continued to decay, devolving and warping the soul now trapped inside it. The creatures it created were dangerous, carnivorous beasts that killed brutally and indiscriminately. The backlash was ruthless. The practice of Pangram's discoveries was outlawed, his works were collected and burned, and he and Helig were branded heretics and hunted, chased from town to town until Pangram simply vanished. He vanished. And Helig was tracked down, captured and brought to trial for the atrocities committed against Valia and its people. The trial was barely more than a formality to bring charges against him, as everyone knew what hand he had played in the disaster. He was sent to prison for years, but eventually released once public outrage died down. And not long after his parole, he disappeared as well. Both disappeared. Occasionally, talk surfaces that a copy of Pangram's theorems has been found, untouched by the purging flames that destroyed his brothers. And these rumours seldom end up being more than that. Many groups and wealthy individuals have formed, sending out a call to anyone who will listen. Find us a copy of the theorems. They offer gold, jewels, status, anything they can to entice adventurers to help them achieve their goals. But there are those who would give anything a chance at immortality, even become a monster. Maybe I shouldn't let this lady have this book.
I'm here.
I'll have it.
What?
The Saints' War Part 1. Red 7. The Saints' War was the most recent war, isn't it? Wide Saints' War Part 1, Overthrow. There's much debate with the historians as to when the Saints' War really began. It's widely accepted that the event that instigated it was the sanctuary flight of Red Seren citizens to the Deerwood from Adair. Red Seren. I mean Adairan. Northeast of the Deerwood is a former colony of Adair, but it's the theocracy, the ruled by religious people, the theocratic dictatorship. Red Serens. Who worship Saint Widwin. It was the flight of the Red Seren citizens to the Deerwood that led to direct strife between the two nations that escalated into battle, the Saints' War. But it is the author's opinion that the war truly started many years before, and after the miracle of Verdant Vorlus, as it came to be known, Widwin quickly gathered followers. That when he became Widwin, I guess, farmer, drawn to the stories of Eothas' miraculous prophet. His power grew. Eventually, Widwin had gained enough support that he confronted the imperial governor, and assisted by a collection of knights and nobles who had been swayed to his cause, he marched on the capital city. The governor was allowed to live, but was forced to abdicate power and leave the colony. This was not from any understanding or easy acquiescence from the governor, but because of what happened when Widwin entered the governor's palace. As Widwin approached the governor, according to accounts, his body turned into something that was no longer human. His flesh became luminescent, and his head transformed into pure, blinding light. Another account suggests that Widwin had become a being of light at an earlier time, when he was whipped in the public square. The outcome of his visit to the palace, however, is uncontested. The governor, knowing there was no way he could oppose an avatar of Eothas, relinquished his power. The people then asked Widwin to lead the colony. He accepted, earning him the name Divine King of Red Ceres. Widwin's rule was virtually uncontested. Initially, this was because everyone was awed that a god had chosen to manifest himself and lead his people. And this changed as Widwin began pushing the allies of the old empire and the poison on the world, what he considered corrupt churches or church leaders of Eothas. Scrutiny escalated. Church leaders of Eothas, the god of the sun. corrupt churches of. He's the prophet of Iothus, supposedly, which I don't believe. Scrutiny escalated, and soon worshippers of Iothus were also being punished for mere perceptions of heresy. Members of other religions were also added to the list of persecuted for following different faiths, and this caused large segments of the population to flee Red Ceres for the Deerwood, begging for sanctuary, and this caused strife between the two nations. The people of the Deerwood knew that they could not sustain explosive population growth if Wydwin's rule were to continue unchecked. They also feared that his eye would turn from Red Ceres and land on them next if nothing was done, and this was exactly what ultimately happened. An open war broke out as Wydwin moved to spread his dominion into the lands of the Deerwood. What part 2? No. Final Journal Jonas. Missives of the Hand Occult. Oh wait, is this what the cult we're looking for? Dearest brother, was it sister? May this letter find you in well spirits. A man of thuggish bearings stormed into my library the other day and demanded I help him find a book on the construction of an arquebus. Gun. I thought it proper service to Wayel to steer this man toward an illuminated manuscript on the subject of whittling toy soldiers and other miniature props. Unamused by my solution, I shrugged and said, "What is an answer without a question?" He did not find my spiritual rhetoric helpful or amusing. What? What is an answer without a question? No answer. It's also an answer. Here we go. And so he punched out 2 of my teeth. I trust your summer has been less tumultuous than mine. In more important news, my apprentice claims she saw the eyeless face in a dream the other night. I admit I was so mad with envy that I at first refused to believe her. Wayel forgive me for such a lapse of judgment. She described an Ormawa of brilliant blue hues with a featureless face, surrounded by a swarm of eyes, no 2 eyes alike. She claims Wayel ignored her questions. So Wayel is a god of knowledge, I think, or something? And she can't recall any specifics of what was said. In fact, my apprentice seems to have forgotten many things since before the visitation. She could not tell me where she grew up or what she liked to eat. At first I was so envious of her for having seen Wayel with her own eyes, but it seems Wayel's visit was to conceal, not to illuminate. I pray she endures this test of faith, can look back at the event and feel the joy of mystery. What is an answer without a question? Last week I felt the solution was ignorance, but after Wayel's visit I feel a road without length is closer to the capturing the riddle. I worry my apprentice will look back at her visit from Wayel and feel cheated, robbed of some moment of clarity we all thought we were owed when we first joined. I tried to tell her she was lucky, but she was too young to understand. What is an answer without a question? May I be dead and my soul scattered to the winds before anyone knows for certain.
I'm here.
Wrath. Varath is the god of cycles and life, death, and rebirth. Duality. In the ruins of Eagland Fath, Varath is depicted in the form of two semi-skeletal figures. I bet we're going to visit the ruins eventually, so I better remember that. One male and one female. Already read that one now. Oh shit. Ah, this counts as stealing. $40, $50, $49. That one. Saints War Part 2. Invasion. Next part. Widewind personally led many of the battles during the war, exhibiting extraordinary supernatural powers. He seemed virtually untouchable in the battlefield, able to burn or even disintegrate his enemies with beams of blinding white light. With a god on his side and possibly, as some said, inhabiting him, he was thought to be indestructible. It appeared that he may have been until the Battle of Halgot Citadel. The people of the Deerwood knew they would lose their war if they could not at least slow Widewind down. Engineers, priests of Magran, and a few others, working in secret, some say with Magran's direct help, developed a weapon they hoped would be able to stop a god. 12 feet in diameter and filled with a variety of chemical and magical explosives, the bomb was rolled under Evan Dure Bridge. Part of the foundation was excavated in order to allow them to embed the bomb in the bridge itself, ensuring its total concealment. 12 dear wooden men and women volunteered to stage an ambush at the bridge to keep Widewind on it until the bomb could be detonated. The battle was short, bloody, and ultimately final. The Dozen, as they came to be known, were able to delay Widewind on the bridge. The bomb detonated, killing Widewind, the 4 Deerwooden volunteers still alive at the time of the battle, and over 50 Red 7 soldiers marching on the front line with Widewind. It was at that moment the Saints' War ended. The remaining Red 7 forces were easy to rout, and even though they had more than enough men and equipment to finish the siege, their leader, previously thought invincible, had just vanished in a rain of metal and stone. Panic set in, and the Deerwooden troops sent them away with ease. From that point on, the bomb was known by the name Godhammer. It even worked its way into everyday conversation. As sure as Godhammer ended the Saints' War came to be a standard phrase to express unequivocal certainty. Less certain is the fate of Eothas, who has not spoken to his followers since the explosion of the bomb, and is presumed by most to be dead. The god Eothas, the god of sunlight. Something happened to Eothas, doesn't it? Did he do something? He's a fake prophet of Eothas. That Wodeka's doing. Let some concerned citizens express their worry, or other more industrious think they could reproduce the result. The author would put the thoughts on your heads. Since that time, there's never been another documented explosion of such magnitude, and efforts to locate the engineers and clergy responsible for the bomb have been entirely fruitless. Godhammer was a unique, fortuitous occurrence. Its like will never be seen again without divine intervention. I think it was. The bomb was made with the help of a god as well.
Thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
So with that one. Andra, the god of the ocean. And skies trip into the living lands again. The trolls, insects, and then plants. With that one as well. The enigmatic god of cold. Young students are often confused by Berath and Rimagand's seemingly overlapping roles in holding dominion over death. Berath oversees the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and Rimagand oversees the cold, destructive act of death itself. This difference is often difficult for novices to appreciate until they've lost a loved one and endured the absence for a time. It is Berath that determines we will be reborn, just as certainly as we will die. Rimagand is the executioner's axe. Rimagand shows us that all life ends in stillness. I need only show them the symbol of Rimagand, the bone-white Aurochs skull, found carved within the most ancient of Angwithan ruins. So that he's symbols of Rimagand in the ruins as well. Skull. It is a symbol of death and doom in every culture. Any child with 4 winters under his belt needs no introduction to the ancient symbol. Rimagand embodies not just death, but all manifestations of the collapse, be they famine, plague, or simple bad luck. Rimagand is a primal god, silent and inscrutable as death itself. He makes himself known with his passing, not by proclamation. With his passing, not by proclamation. There are innumerable stories of the god's terrifying passage through the lands of Eora, and when the beast of winter stirs, bitter winds and beastly howling follow the creature's every move. Wherever the beast plants a hoof, all life withers into dust. The faithful of Rimagand insist that even another god's life can end in stillness. Another god could die. They claim the other gods must flee from the beast of winter's mastery over death, but we know not if this boast holds true. Though the beast of winter is shrouded in snowy clouds, those who have seen this shaggy white monster claim that the souls of the fallen have been seen clinging, or perhaps frozen, to the beast's fur. Represented by a beast, an Auroch. The dwarves of the Boreal South, the Nasitek, have numerous stories that tell a similar plot. A brash hero seeks out the beast of winter to rescue the souls trapped in its fur. These tales never end well, but even if the hero saves his beloved soul, the hero dies in the process, for it is not a proper tale of Rimagand unless the hero's life ends in stillness. Souls trapped in his fur. Bagrin, the god of fire and war. And righteousness. And struggles. Becomes pure through struggles. The Iraqian calendar. Amni Rossio, the new year. The calendar used, while only 150 years old, and of Valian origin as well, the Iraqian calendar is currently used throughout most of the Deerwood and the surrounding areas. While the Deerwood was using the Aderian calendar until recently, they gave it up in favour of the Iraqian calendar. Rossian? I don't know. Rossian. The transition was easy to get people to make, because the Aderian calendar was hopelessly inaccurate. Rossio calculated that it takes the planet approximately 334 days to orbit the Sun, so he took the 9 months from the Aderian calendar and broke them into 16 months of 20 days each. 16 months of 20 days each, with each season consisting of 4 months. The length of each month corresponds to how long it takes Belapha, one of our moons, to circle the planet. Interesting. 20 days. There's a Belapha, the moon Belapha. We circle the planet. 16 months. At the end of each season, 3 days, not part of either season, are set aside for people to celebrate the transitions. And lastly, the final 2 days of the year, New Year and Mid-Year, are used to observe the beginning and midpoint of the year. So there are 16 months of 20 days, and there's 5 more days. Wait, 16 times 20 is 32, thinking 20. There's 14 days left. At the end of each season, there's 3 days. People to celebrate. And lastly, the final 2 days of the year, New Year, Mid-Year, are also used to observe, to celebrate. To prevent any confusion for the transition from the old calendar to the new, Urokio kept the year the same. So, although the calendar has only been in existence for 150 years, it's currently the year 2823 AI using Annie Urokio. Urokio gave the months alien names, but in the Deerwood and surrounding areas, they call them by their translated names. The year is broken down in the following way. New Year, day to celebrate the arrival of the new year. Of all the holidays, this one is celebrated by most people around the Deerwood and the Valian republics, and each new year is greeted with a fervent zeal to begin things anew and start with a fresh slate. Winter months, 2 at the beginning of the year and 2 at the end. Deep winter, Fonvierno. Late winter, Terravierno. Spring, 3 days. Spring dawn, 3 days, also known as Imprima, is used to celebrate the transition of the world, rebirth in spring. Eothosian festivals are especially prevalent at this time, or were prior to the Saints' War. The spring months: early spring, Preprima; mid-spring, Majprima; deep spring, Fonprima; and late spring, Tarprima. Then there's the 3 days of summer rising, also known as Inestu, a period of transition from birth to growth. Many ceremonies designed to usher children into adulthood take place during summer rising. And then there's the summer months. Early summer, Prietstu, and midsummer, Majestu. Mid-year, and then there's deep summer, Fonestu, and late summer, Tarestu. Mid-year is a day of reflection and introspection. The year is half over. People who made promises on New Year use mid-year to assess their progress and renew their oaths. I love this stuff. And there's the autumn, 3 days of autumn falling. In autumn, harvest celebrations happen during autumn fall if the crops were particularly bountiful. If the harvest was small, supplication is given to the gods asking for a better harvest the following year. Autumn months: early autumn, Prietorn; mid-autumn, Majorton; deep autumn, Fonauton; and late autumn, Tarauton. There's the 3 days of winter dusk. In invierno. In inverno. I don't know, this is like Spanish. It's sort of. Winter dusk is filled with celebrations of life and vigils for the dead. The world is returning to sleep. Plants die, and those still alive raise a toast to another year. The winter, and then there's the last 2 winter months. Early winter, Prievierno. Midwinter, Mazivierno. That's pretty cool. 16 months, 20 days. Skill up. Be right back. Oof, look at all these books.
sense your patience, Eddie.
My patience ebbing. On the toilet, lady. Gotta go, gotta go.
Hey.
Yes, we got him. The 80th Empire Part 2. Expanding borders. I'm gonna read Part 1 first. Can you steal that book?
Ready, Watcher.
So I would want to read it now. I'll read Part 1.
Well,
Yeah. You give that to you. Stash. Saw the book from the library. 80 Empire Part 1. Wow.
well, well,
Using the invisibility ability.
as you will. As you wish.
Book of the Hunt. You read that one. Didn't get caught stealing.
I'll take a look.
Don't think we did.
I shall.
Read that later. I want to do some fighting. What about these books? Read that one. 10 Years of Dawn. Yeah, we read that one as well. Okay, I think we read all these books in the books in the library. Do we want to give this book to that lady? I'm not sure if we do.
Hey, I'm here.
Welcome.
Time in the scroll.
Good day, stranger.
Oh, now that I've stolen it, I can't. Oh. Oh well. Can we read it? Is it an actual book or is it just quest item?
Yes?
I'm not sure.
Of course.
Let's give that to her now then. Whatever. And just give it to her then. Where is she? Andra's gift? No, Breckenberry. That book to her, she wanted. What else we gotta do? Eventually we'll get to a point where we've read most books, and reading books less.
Hail and well met.
Do you hear the book of theorems? You'll never believe what I found. You? Lady of Lament, you really found it? Nadine cradles a musty tome like a newborn. I can't believe it. It really exists. She looks back to you. Thank you so much. This will be invaluable. She almost turns to the book, but at the last moment she remembers herself and gives you a bag of coin. Oh, okay. I'm glad this will be useful to you. I don't suppose you could spare a little more. Ah, of course. She pulls a ring from her finger. It may not look like much, but I've always been able to use this ring to generate a little extra money when I was between stipends. It's critical for someone doing research without the benefit of a wealthy person. She smiles weakly and hands it to you. Please, take it. You've certainly given me a resource I couldn't have found on my own. You've gained an item, Ring of Eternal Funding. Every researcher wishes they had that. What's that doing? +5 copper. Its plain gold band contains a power that belies its simple appearance. It's been passed between animancers, wizards, and other scholars for centuries because it provides a steady income to the wearer, allowing him or her to pursue research interests without being tied to a particular patron. Provides a steady +5 copper. Oh, is that like I get a weekly income from Cair Nua? Does that add +5 copper to that income?
Yes?
Turn to court. Another messenger from the Ducal Palace is arriving in Cair Nua. Really? Another one again? What was this? A messenger from Defiance Bay has arrived in Cair Nua. Huh? A few days ago. It's for Vianna and Nondra's gift. Who's Curran? I'll bring this thing to Curran. Alright, he's here in Hydrit House. Yeah. In this region. Going there. Went to House Domino. I should return to that guy and tell him I killed a wizard. And just do that. Do what he says. Then we'll go to Hydrit House. Ooh. Not reading today. Probably next few days, but then exploring the city. Mordred,
Guards keep.
Helig is dead, for good. Mordred lets out a long breath. And I can rest easy. You've done a great service for Animancy, for the Sanitarium, and for me. Thank you. Glad to be of help. Farewell, Mordred. Unlock the trunk. That thing's still in the trunk though. You sure you want to get rid of that, Mordred?
Hail, traveler. Good day to you.
It's still not loud. Back here. Sanitarium, locked door. Requires a key. Locked door requires key. Go to Hadrid House and find Cohen. Then we'll visit Houston Menor in this area. Travel to Ondra's Gift, like the slums. Oh, there's a brothel there. I'm gonna just rest up there. Dunwood Agent. A link, yes, I'm certain of it. Cohen.
Well met, friend.
The all-in man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end. His ears prick up as you approach. You carry whispers. Kid Newer, Gilded Veil. Old voices indeed. It's a cipher. How did you know? The all-in grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What else can you tell me? His ears twitch downward. Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. He regards a table piled with scrolls. What brings you to Dunwood Row? What are you so busy with? Tell me more about your skills. I check for soul connections, looking for lost things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher, near Aning Eaglan Fath, who were once known as Brishalgwyn. Brishalgwyn, or Mind Hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now, we make some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we can look at a person and see where they've been, or look at a weapon and see who has touched it. Wow, God, storyteller. His nose twitches as he looks at you. Useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine. Is this affidavit real? It's signed by you. He holds the page, which seems to stare through the words, as if that's something woven in the fabric on the paper. Cohen bares his pointed teeth. I remember Penhelm, a preening peacock of a man, his mouth dry and hands moist when I told him he was the sole descendant of an Aderian general, one who'd fought against Hadris rebellion. He scans the affidavit. A forgery, and not the first I've seen. He hands it back to you. But I've no time for the knights and their obsessions. Bring this to his commander, Cleaver, and show him the seal. He points to the wax stamped by his forged signature. If he compares it with another, he should be able to spot the difference. What are you so busy with? His small furry hands gesture expansively at the papers before him. Hollowborn, growing unrest, and the ever-present political intrigues. With so many missing souls, missing persons are the least of our concerns these days. Looks as though he could use some help. Cohen wags a clawed finger. Not at liberty to discuss my work, unfortunately. Dunwood Row ears only. A civilian would need the confidence of Lady Webb before I could share. Farewell, Cohen. Back to the knights. The vintages. Like police or like detectives. A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay. Either these notes are written in code, or the author's handwriting is atrocious.
There's a finish away. It's finished.
Cohen's wasting his time with those disappearances. Lady Webb is in charge of Hadrid House, but she rarely deals with anyone personally. There are no secrets in Defiance Bay, not while we're around. Fixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared en route to New Hyoma. Upstairs. Come in here.
Yes?
Where's you walk out?
And what does the flame reveal?
Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to this board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. If Lady Webb wants to see you, she shall send for you. Can't get into that room, Lady Webb. Hello. Hadrid House. Locked door, Lady Webb. Let's go back to the Crucible Knights and give this to Cleaver. Oh, whoa, what the fuck? Penhelm's here. Oh, this is not good. Loads of guards. Penhelm's face is white. Just talked to that little cipher, did you? One of my novitiates told me he had seen someone in the records room. He takes a slow step toward you, extending his hand. Give me the affidavit. I've done nothing to you. His other hand comes to rest next to his sword. What does this mean to you? Are you serious? This is my career. I've labored years for it. And it all hangs on some coincidence of a past life. Any dear woman, rich or poor, can aspire to a position in the Crucible Knights. Anyone can rise to the rank of High Justice, except for those of us born with the wrong soul. Tell me how that's reasonable. Cheer up, Penham. You always thought you were someone special. Soon everyone will know. But you're the son of a traitor. In your past life, you were a traitor. He draws his sword and spits at your feet. I won't let you ruin me over this.
Hey. Hey.
Bit too cozy for my liking. Let's go down here, zoom in.
Join arms.
Retrieve the breastplate from Penhelm's corpse. Osric's family breastplate. This old breastplate has had its share of battle scars, but it's clearly been well preserved over the years and still bears some of its original shine. The symbol of a flame is emblazoned across its middle.
I shall.
To Cleaver immediately. Then I'll head back to Osric. Oh. Is that it? Like, we skipped part of the question. Okay. Can I use the shop yet there now? What reputation am I with the Crucible Knights? Hero. So I wasn't allowed to use the shop. I'll check if I can now. Where's the lady? Where was the lady? Remember, isn't it? Dunstan, Commander Cleaver said you were working with the Nanomancer to build Forge Knights.
So much for his talk of secrecy. I'm building Cleaver's metal warriors. He says they're what we need to keep order in Defiance Bay, so...
Do you disagree with Cleaver about the Forge Knights? I disagree with him on near about everything, and this is no exception. These Forge Knights won't solve our manpower problem. He can call them what he wants, but they aren't knights. Scanny, doesn't take it to Mac's nose to spell the trouble here. A group that can't stand together is headed for a fall. Dunstan folds his arms and looks at the ground. And don't get me started on the other problem. Those souls he's brought to power the Forge Knights. Cleaver keeps telling himself that they came from willing donors, but he knows better. There's a reason why you have to buy souls through less than legal channels. We should be clearing those scavengers off the road, not doing business with them. How are you creating the Forge Knights? Suits of armor and souls. Cleaver's had me repairing and reinforcing unused armor for months now, just so we can fill them with some poor sod's essence. He wipes his shining brow. As long as that scholar girl's got her numbers right, fusing the armor with a soul won't be that hard. But that's not what bothers me. You need Vianna's research to complete them. She's been working out a method to transfer the souls into the armor. Getting the process just right is critical. He holds up one hand. Bind the souls too tightly and you get something like those flesh constructs at the Sanitarium, barely bright enough to avoid walking into a wall. He raises his other hand, but bind them too loosely. They'll be too self-aware for their own good. Mad killers in metal bodies. But was it? No, this wasn't. It wasn't the Crucible Knights. He used the shop. Yeah, I'm thinking about the Adventurers Guild. Yeah, I'm confused.
I suppose Cleaver sent you down here to get me working on those Forge Knights, eh?
Yeah, I'm getting confused. That's where we're going now. The Adventurers Guild. Back to Ostrich. Then I get access to that shop. To the Adventurers Guild in Copper Lane. So, did you get him the dagger? What? No, of course not. Gordy's a nice kid, but March steel is expensive. He'd probably cut his fingers off anyway. I hope something didn't happen to Gordy. A call for interested patrons. Town crier. God. What's this? In this house. Go in there in a sec. Mr. House. The houses that don't show up as locations on the map. Hey Osric. Tell me how it goes with the knights. Is this the armor you wanted? Osric wavers a moment in disbelief, looks at you, then back at the breastplate. He reaches for it slowly, as if expecting it to disappear before he can touch it. How did you manage this? You were right about the affidavit. Unfortunately, Penhelm forced me into a fight. A shame it ended like that. These the lying weasels started this. You did all I asked, and you are owed much. He withdraws a leather coin purse from his pocket and hands it to you. Stop by Sonnyild's shop on the other side of the hall. She sells some of the best gear in the city. I'll see that she opens her inventory to you. Yeah. Another loot bringer. What is this armor to you, anyway? Osric looks around, trying to appear casual. It's nothing really, just a keepsake. Give me 2,000 copper. Damn. Must be important to him. He tries to look you in the eye, but when he does, he appears to reconsider. He sighs. It commemorates the Order of Magran, highest order of valor, warded to the dead, never the living. Us dear Woodens, real dear Woodens, we don't have nobility or birthrights, unless you're some copper fucker from Adir. All we got's the honour we bring to our family name. Don't have money unless you're a copper fucker. Nobles. Marry an old dying rich noble, and they happen to pass away a few years later. Either. The Order of Magran is, well, they don't give it out too much. Not often you see a member of the dozens whose revolutionary ties are as good as he says they are. Osric. So this is something to live up to. He pauses, considering the weathered metal, a pale image of its former self, but still catching the light. I'm looking for work.
You want an expedition? Talk to Wendell. I just handle these mercenary shit shovelers. Adventurers.
You get a new adventurer as soon as you level up, I think. Okay. We're level 7. Can only get one level below you. New job from Wennen. Do you know of a place in the wilderness with colourful pools and a waterfall that rises? Oh, you're looking for Searing Falls. He taps the map in front of him with a blunt finger. Fantastic place. The thermal springs alone are worth the journey. Falls are so hot, most of the water turns to steam. That's the rising you were talking about. Searing Falls. Nice. Let's talk to Lootbringer Lady. Lootbringer Sonild. All shopkeepers, anyone who sells anything gains the title Lootbringer.
you do.
Show me what you've got, lady. Fine, exceptional weapons. Got anything unique? Ooh, braces of the all-consuming rage. +2 might and 1 constitution. Whoa. Got a few magic items. Oh, I'm happy. The quest was worth it. When the husband and children of Elena Skyclaver were captured by Terwin the Black-Hearted, she and her troops besieged his castle, hoping to negotiate her family's return. Instead, Terwin had them impaled on the battlements while Elena watched from below. Wow. Upon seeing the atrocity, Elena abandoned all rational thought and ran screaming toward Terwin's castle, first in anguish, then in rage. To the surprise of all present, Elena suddenly stopped screaming and burst into flames, supposedly touched by Magrin herself. Terwin's soldiers loosed their arrows, but Elena didn't even slow. She struck the castle gates like a battering ram, bursting through and scattering Terwin's soldiers. And desperate to escape her fury, those who remained threw their master into her path. Her flames engulfed him, and no one knows if the unearthly scream that followed came from him or from her. But within minutes, both of them had burned to ashes, and only these braces survived. These braces are made of bronze covered in a dark green patina. Etched into the metal is a picture of a slender humanoid engulfed in flames. Strangely enough, the humanoid has no head, only 2 blue orbs where the eyes would normally be. Blue orbs for eyes. Magrin. Braces of all-consuming rage. I want to. Sonild. Oh, I didn't. Shop. Lane, Sonild, braces, the cost.
Greetings.
1,500, 500, 2 might, 1 con. Awesome. Dandy hat of the diseased yak. Just to resolve. Look at that hat. Oh my god. -1 intellect. The legend behind this hat is that it once belonged to a famed prince of a small kingdom that was conquered and absorbed into the Aderian Empire. The prince and his court were known for their outlandish dress, but not, unfortunately, for prowess in battle. In fact, when the prince learned that the Aderian army was marching toward him, he threw a fabulous party to welcome the invaders. This hat survived the war and subsequent occupation, has been traded in many a dark corner by those wishing to further their social standing with panache. Lined with garish purple silk and adorned with a large chartreuse feather, the hat makes a strong if questionable fashion statement. Snurf's Folly, Con Ring, Resolve Ring, Max Endurance, nice, good for tank. Get that for him. Snurf's Folly, 1,500. Two con, 1 resolve. Once belonging to the wife of a noted animancer known as Snurf, this white gold wedding ring is set with a central pink stone flanked by 2 small diamonds. The shine of the gem stands in stark contrast to the grimy worn band. It is rumored that while his love was ill and on the brink of death, the desperate Animancer performed a radical experiment to merge her soul with his. According to the most versions of the tale, her already weakened body was unable to withstand the strain of the binding. While this process extinguished the little life left in her body, it overwhelmed her soul, fragmenting it into oblivion. And overcome with guilt and despair, this once great man lived out the last of his days in a Svref-induced madness. Drug. Holding on to the hope that he might somehow glimpse traces of her soul amongst his own pitiful reflection. Bile Stomper's boots. Grants minor fetid caress. What the fuck is that? Let's see. Pop up them won't. What's that do? Generates a wave of foul stench that sickens everyone caught in its wake. 1.25 aura. 1.25 meter aura. It sickens nearby people for 6 seconds. Sickened means -1 to all attributes, all stats. Lot less fortitude and will. -10 to will and fortitude. More vulnerable to mind spells and being knocked down. Really? Mind spells? It is will, fortitude, and reflex. Yeah, okay. Not resolve. What's resolve? Resolve is one of the stats. Which increases will. Intellect and resolve determines the will. Dexterity and perception determines your reflexes. Your might and constitution determines your fortitude. Yeah, so it's the normal fortitude, reflex and will in this game as well. Chooses your will, your fortitude, which is interesting. Boots were created in the toxic swamp in the living lands. It's venom in the boots. God. Summon noble creature once per rest. A beagle dog. That like, how long? 20 seconds? Let's say. Cloak of the Fox and Hunter. The wooden legend tells the story of a hunter who spent days in the woods trying to find food for her family, and in her first trap she caught a boar. "Please, great hunter," the boar begged when she approached. "I am no ordinary boar. I am the ruler of my kind. If you free me, I will reward you greatly." So the hunter freed the boar, who ran off laughing, never to be seen again. Her second trap caught a turkey. "Please, powerful hunter," the turkey said when she approached. "I am no ordinary turkey. I am the ruler of my kind. If you free me, you will get rewards such that you cannot imagine." So the hunter released the turkey, who also ran off laughing, never to be seen again. The final trap held a fox. "Please, mighty hunter," the fox began as she approached. "I will not free you," said the hunter. "Already I have lost 2 wonderful meals, but will not lose a third. If you truly will reward me, then I will free you. But you must leave something of yours behind, so I know you will return. So the fox left behind the length of his legs, enchanting the hunter's cape with its grace and reflexes. The fox returned to his kind, but was rejected for its short-legged appearance. You look like a dog, her fellows taunted. No longer welcome among her kind, the fox returned to the hunter and offered another deal. She would aid the hunter in all endeavors as payment for her life. This cloak represents the bargain between the fox and the hunter. Weathered and worn, this cloak is tan with slight splotches. When pulled over the head, the corners look like erect dog ears. Got a furry cloak. Loads of reflexes and will. I might get that. Monacra Arret. What the hell is this? Is it an eyepiece? It's an eyepiece. Head slot. Grant Whisper of Treason 3 times for rest. And charm an enemy for 10 seconds. Ooh. Damn. Oh, this might be really good for her. Increase her will. This exquisite piece was crafted by alchemists for a secret society of aristocrats in Old Valia. Throughout its history, it has graced the ocular orbits of scheming nobles, influential politicians, and charming salesmen. The ocular orbits. The dark brass monocle features intricate gear and leaf filigree along the rim, confers sophistication, and carries the unmistakable scent of old money. Berserker's Belt, unusable by Barbarian, plus 20% frenzy duration. Can I not use that? I'm not a Barbarian, but I've got Frenzy. This book was a product of a strange collaboration between the famed barbarian Strongbow and an animancer of comparatively lesser fame. Strongbow was determined to extend the period in which he could cast himself into a fearless frenzy, but it was the means by which he survived most of his battles. The animancer in turn was much intrigued by the opportunity to investigate the affliction of temper, and over a period of time the trigger for Strongbow's rage was isolated. And the belt was imbued with a spell which mimicked the effect. The resulting damage done to the laboratory ensured that the pair never collaborated again. But Strongbow was very pleased with the belt he received. What have we got? What? Fabrice is a seagull. Light endurance and perception. She needs perception. Still accuracy.
How do you do?
Con ring. Might and con graces. 1. What things have we got? Deflection, fortitude, reflex, and will. instead of con instead. Still, we need more rings for a party anyway, so...
Greetings.
Cloak, there's reflexes in will. Will. Head. What's she got? Headpiece. She got nothing. I'll get that for
God's
her.
champion.
Give you a monocle, lady. 3 mind charm spells per day as well. Yeah, she's wearing it, look at that. Zoom in anymore? No. Monocle with a giant, like, blunderbuss gun. Oh, so cool, this game. Like, outfits, just have whatever you want.
Welcome.
I should keep some money. Come back and get some more. We got goodies, lady. The West Curtain Wall has been completed. Yeah, so I need money for my stronghold. The Unworn Path. Hey. The road to Red Flower Lake turned out to be even more dangerous than the elders of the kind wayfarers had expected. They believed that the attack against Adram Delphar's funeral procession had been carried out by ogres. Instead, Canna and the kind wayfarer initiates discovered Eotians, twisted two-headed ogres of incredible size and ferocity. Wow. Recovering the paladins' bodies was costly, with 5 more initiates dying in the process. In the end, Canna and the 7 kind wayfarers reached Red Flower Lake. There, they held a service for Adram Delphar and the others that died to make their way to the summit. On the way back down, the initiates placed marked cairns along the trail to indicate when it had been cleared by the kind wayfarers and at what cost. Need some boots for completing this. Get exalted hands. Once per rest. One ally gains some endurance. And the nearest enemy is pushed back and stunned. Nearest enemy to that ally. Weakened attacks. These boots were once worn by Adram Delphar, elder paladin of the kind wayfarers. They were a gift from other members of the order for your help in laying Adram's body to rest near Red Flower Lake. Wow. Gifted me these boots. Holy shit. His actual boots. The boots are so incredibly worn from a lifetime of travel that they appear to be on the verge of falling apart. Oh. But despite this, they are incredibly strong and comfortable. It's a gift. Okay, I can actually use it. It's more like the ship. It's a symbol. 2 more defense. Requires the Bailey to get more defense. It's 2 plus 3. Yep, build the Bailey. The Bailey houses various necessities for keeping the stronghold self-sufficient. Building this upgrade will allow you to upgrade the grounds further. Towers of Kainua. 2 days for 2 security. And 2 of them. Wardens Lodge. The Warden's Lodge watches over the wilds near the stronghold. Upgrading the lodge will grant a bonus to survival, as well as provide access to the Warden, who offers high-level bounties. Let's grab that.
Yes?
Won't this guy have any quests for me though?
I do have something. If you don't mind stepping on the toes of the Crucibles. Come to think of it, the Dominels won't be too pleased either. They've never liked seeing something nicer built than them.
Where do I begin?
Some of my other expeditions have come back with a rumor about a place called Leia Remen up near Stormwall Gorge. It's supposed to hold some of the greatest weapons those Engwithan bastards ever made. And we've got need of.
Gives you a praising stare. You're cozy with the knights. You must have heard some rumor of these soul-bound monstrosities they're building. I don't know about you, but I don't trust that gas-bag cleaver with something like that. Us sensible kith need to be ready to protect ourselves and the city. Wait, can I like join one faction or something? Whoa. I don't know. If I help one, can I not help the other? Don't know. If there's anything that can stand a chance against this madness, it's weapons made by the Engwithans themselves. They made the same kinds of abominations in their time. They'd know how to kill them. I've sent the giant slayers after the weapons, but they haven't had much luck so far. They're better fighters than treasure hunters. Meet up with them at the wooden plains and see how far they've gotten. If you can get those weapons, I'll see what you get your cut. Hida, what's the harm in arming a bunch of angry folks that don't like to think all that much? Around here then. Matthias Nicholas. You see an immaculate inn, dark wood counters gleaming, patrons rowdy and smiling. 2 men stand behind the bar, joking as they pour drinks. Features so similar they must be siblings. The younger snatches up an armful of drinks and walks them around the room, chatting happily as he hands out orders. And just as he sets down the final ale and turns around, a red-faced O'Mauer charges through the door, trailed by 3 sour-looking elves, slamming directly into him. The O'Mara growls, knocking the young man out of the way, and demands an ale from the brother behind the bar. The man refuses, and the rest of the bar falls silent, sensing trouble. The older brother again asks the O'Mara to leave, the younger brother placing a firm hand on his back and pushing him towards the door, and the scene freezes. With a sickening crack, the man is knocked backwards into the wall, neck snapping backward before he falls to the floor. He does not get up. The action is immediate as the other patrons come to the barman's aid, dragging the O'Mara and his compatriots out the back, but the damage is done. The carpet oozes with blood, slowly seeping to his fibres as one brother dies and the other falls to his knees, horror piercing his eyes. By the time he gets up, the O'Mara is long gone. Wait, did the younger brother die? Condor freed. You see 2 men walking slowly down a stone corridor. They move cautiously, frequently looking behind themselves. One of them is this man, who stops, bringing a piece of parchment closer to his light-enchanted helmet so he can read it. While the other keeps walking, glancing over his shoulder, the first man looks up from his parchment in the middle of a sentence and stops, the expression changing from caution to fear. He starts to call out a warning, but it's too late. The Zarep who appeared from the darkness before them rushes forward and pushes his small sword into the stomach of the other man. It then squeals, seemingly repulsed by what is happening, and quickly backs away, leaving the sword protruding from the man's abdomen. Parchment falling from his hands, he leaps forward, catching his friend as he falls. The wound isn't serious. In fact, it doesn't even look like the blade has gone far into his flesh. The man turns his attention back down the hall, looking for signs of movement. Nothing re-emerges from the darkness, so he stands and strides down the hall, determination etched on his face, sword and shield at the ready. The corridor starts to widen, and as he enters, a whining yowl erupts from the darkness at the far side of the room. He slows, inching forward toward the sound. The light reveals a Zarep against the wall, holding a smaller one behind it with one arm. The larger Zarep has placed itself between him and the smaller one, attempting to shield the child with its body. The determination fades from the man's countenance as he lowers his shield and sheathes his sword. Putting up his hands, he slowly backs away, leaving the Zarep to care for its young. And when the room narrows back into the corridor, he stops, reaching into his pouch. He removes some rations and places them on the ground before returning to his friend. Nice dude. Nothing happened. This house.
I'll see it done. It's finished.
I'll just take the stuff. Well, I'll take it then. Langdon. Right, everyone knows the plan. Up the wall and in the window. Grab the jewel for the pretty lord. We got it. Listen, dwarf, if I have to... Langdon, we have company. What's going on here? A smile like a ragged scar stretches across the man's face. That's the least of your concerns, friend. You've made a grave mistake coming here. He raises his blade. Okay. Oh, have I now?
Hey,
Your charm ability. Oh, she doing Mr. Freedom. Huh. So this as well. Charming number.
yes?
Suika's Grimoire. Well, they attacked me. If you attack me, then I will just kill you. Already know her spells. Fine Rapier. Thieves' letter. Our contact inside Raymond Manor will leave a second-story window ajar. He's confirmed the location of the heart of the White March in a hidden chamber. Get your crew together and head to the Brackenberry before Lord Raymond moves the jewel. Signed, A.D. A.D. So we saw that window, and we found the gem, but we just decided to leave it and just... tell somebody about the plot.
Hey.
something ahead.
House de Menon. We read this one.
There's something ahead.
Dunwood Road. Dunwood Road head. Asked the detectives in Hadwood House and Lady Webb. Lady Webb is... No one knows anything about Lady Webb. She's known as a cipher of tremendous power, though. And she can read the thoughts of the entire city at will. They're hired as ciphers. They're good as detectives, mind readers. Anyway, we'll stop there. I think. Yeah, we'll stop there. I don't know if there's any other places I've missed. And yeah, just keep continuing quests, explored Andre's gift, the other quarter. Or House de Menon. We've got loads of quests to be doing. Meet with the adventuring group, the Giant Slayers, in the Lisbon books. Oof. Getting there. Now an ally of Defiance Bay. Troublemaker for House in Menor. Ally of the Dozens as well. Leave it there. Oh, it's good chill. Oof. I love this game though. How long will it take? Say 100 hours, 150? No. I'm reading every single book in the game. It was 7.5-ish now? 7 1/3? Over 100 hours then. No, 20 max? Maybe 150. Can get it done before Elden Ring? Doesn't include. I don't know if that includes the expansions though either. So, see. Elden Ring will be next. We'll stop there. Well,